Houston, station on the big loop. Dragon attitude is still as expected, and station is ready for docking.
Houston copies. At waypoint 2, Dragon will briefly pause to align for docking, then automatically resume approach.
Station copies.
Commentator Rob.
You just heard great communications on the big loop from Station and Dragon, as well as the teams in Houston and in Hawthorne for SpaceX and NASA, as the Dragon Grace spacecraft continuing its approach to the International Space Station, carrying Axiom Mission for Commander Peggy Whitson, pilot Shubhanshu Shukla of ISRO, Sławosz Uznański-Wiśniewski of ESA,
Dragon
and
SpaceX
Tibor.
Soft capture ring extension complete. Dragon will continue through waypoint 2 without a hold.
Second copies, no hold at waypoint 2, and good rating extension.
Great communications there. They were anticipating a brief hold to make sure everything aligns, but Dragon Grace continuing on what has been so far so good. A great rendezvous with the International Space Station. They will proceed to continue past waypoint 2. And you also heard in the communications with NASA astronaut Nicole Ayers, the station ready for docking. And a great view of the SpaceX Dragon Grace spacecraft making its glacial approach to the International Space Station, and the view from the space station looking up as it approaches the space-facing or node to zenith port of the Harmony module. We are about 4 minutes away from the waypoint 2 arrival, which again, they are expecting to move right past through without a hold. That is at the 20-meter mark, and proceed right on into docking, a soft capture, and then soft capture ring retraction and hooks to drive. And that capture, about
Dragon
8 minutes
SpaceX
and 47.
on the big loop, ground is go for approach 2, and approach is now allowed. Reminder, ensure that visors are closed prior to Dragon's departure from the waypoint. Once Dragon is inside the crew hands-off point, retreat and breakout are not permitted.
Dragon copies, and we have visors down, and we are go for docking as well. And copy on the approach. Inside 2, chop.
SpaceX copies, visors down, SpaceX crew is go for docking.
All great communications there, as the communications from the ground up to the SpaceX Dragon Grace spacecraft, as visors are down on the 4 astronauts inside, as they continue their approach to the International Space Station, now nearly 7 minutes away from that initial contact. Dragon and the International Space Station now making its way over the northernmost territories of North America and Canada, and heading towards the Atlantic Ocean, as we are now 7.5 minutes away from the approximate docking time, as Dragon will move smoothly past waypoint 2, about 20 meters away. And continuing its fine-tuning and approach, you see little plumes coming off the spacecraft. Again, those are those thruster firings, continuing to inch and adjust the spacecraft towards the orbiting laboratory. Dragon continuing to get bigger and bigger from the viewpoint of the International Space Station as waypoint 2 about 90 seconds away, and there it'll be just a mere 20 meters away. And there the spacecraft will focus on aligning its docking system with the docking adapter and then fly in to make the initial contact and give us what we will call that soft capture, or the soft capture ring will retract, and then the hooks will drive to form the hard mate. And that capture, or that initial contact, coming in about 6 minutes from now.
Yes, they have it. I can press them. They switch it out.
Approaching 30 seconds away from waypoint 2 arrival, in which the Dragon spacecraft will be about 20 meters away, just called out 30 meters, so continuing its close in to the International Space Station. Dragon Grace now 25 meters away. Dragon has now reached waypoint 2, 20 meters away from the International Space Station, and will continue its approach to the International Space Station. And there you can see a great view of that zenith port, that space-facing port of the International Space Station's Harmony module. As the Dragon spacecraft right now sitting at waypoint 2, just 20 meters away.
Houston station per step 4 in block Bravo. Dragon attitude is as expected.
Houston copies. Station Houston on the big loop. Dragon is on final approach and is go for docking. Monitor per steps 5 and 6 and 1.102.
Station copies, monitoring per steps 5 and 6.
And there you heard it. The final steps relayed up to the crew for final approach and docking have been given as we continue to see Dragon Grace spacecraft close the gap between them and the International Space Station. Now, just before the spacecraft reaches the international docking adapter for that soft capture, you'll hear the call out CHOP, or crew hands off point, which Dragon will continue its journey and make that initial connection, that soft capture, in those final few moments.
SpaceX Dragon, 10 meters.
10 meters.
Inside 10 meters, a little less now than 30 feet away, is all that separates Dragon Grace from the International Space Station.
Five meters.
5 meters.
Two meters. Chop.
Houston Station, 2 meters, chop.
We have chop.
1 meter.
1 meter. Dragon contact and soft capture complete.
Roger, copy.
Dragon Grace and the Axiom Mission 4 crew have arrived to the International Space Station at 5:31 a.m. Central Time over the North Atlantic as the two orbiting around the Earth, connecting with the soft capture ring, and now we'll begin the ring retraction to bring the two vehicles closer together, and then the 12 hooks, the two sets of 6, will drive to form a hard nut. And there you heard there, the soft capture ring is retracting, and then we'll do so until sensors are indicating it's time for those hooks to drive in place and give us a hard capture and firmly secure Dragon to station. And again, Axiom Mission 4 and its Commander Peggy Whitson, pilot Shubhanshu Shukla of ISRO, and mission specialist Sławosz Uznański-Wiśniewski and Tibor Kapu of ESA and Hunor have arrived to the International Space Station with contact at 5:31 a.m. Central, 6:31 a.m. Eastern, as the two were orbiting over the North Atlantic. The soft capture ring, that initial contact between Dragon Grace and the International Space Station, continuing to retract, and we'll await for the calls that the sensors read that it'll be time for those 12 hooks on the Dragon to then begin driving and connecting itself to form a hard mate to the International Space Station.
Ring retraction complete. Docking sequence is holding for MCS reconfiguration.
This is Mission Control Houston, as you are seeing a live view of the recently connected Dragon Gray spacecraft with the Axiom Mission 4 astronauts and Peggy Whitson, Shubhanshu Shukla, Sławosz Uznański-Wiśniewski, and Tibor Kapu arrive to the International Space Station. Soft capture and contact at 5:31 a.m. Central Time, 6:31 a.m. Eastern, as the two were orbiting above the North Atlantic. And right now, the two mated with that soft capture, the soft capture ring retracting to pull the spacecraft closer to the International Space Station. And once given the go, the ring or the hooks around the Dragon nose cone will drive and connect to form a hard mate. Teams on the ground in both Houston.
Station Houston on the big loop. MCS configured, proceeding with hook driving.
Station copies.
And a great call there. That's the next step in this docking procedure, is the driving of the hooks, the 12 hooks surrounding the nose cone or the nose of the Dragon spacecraft. And we'll monitor those. They'll drive in 2 sets of 6. The first set of 6 right now, they're traveling, and we'll continue to follow along as the docking process continues on. And then after that first set of 6, the second set will drive and connect Dragon to form a hard mate to the International Space Station. And once the docking is complete, NASA astronauts Anne McLean and Nicole Ayers, who have been monitoring from the International Space Station from the cupola of the Dragon's arrival, it'll be Ayers that'll begin the hatch opening or hatch operations. And that'll start by opening up the main hatch on the Node 2 Zenith section of the Harmony module. That's what you see Dragon connected to. And what's separating that module and the Dragon spacecraft is that and continuing to monitor that first set of 6 hooks forming that hard mate. And once the full set of 12, Ayers will continue the docking procedures with the leak checks and then begin making its way into the pressurized mating adapter. That's what you see between the Harmony module and the Dragon spacecraft, and access into there to then what we begin pressurizing the vestibule, that small compartment between the 2 hatches. And that vestibule has been exposed to the vacuum of space prior to Dragon Grace's arrival. So the next step is to carefully reintroduce that air and pressure inside so it matches both that of the station and the Dragon spacecraft. And we just received confirmation that the first set of 6 hooks have driven and closed, and we'll now begin the second set of 6 to continue that hard mate between the Dragon spacecraft and the International Space Station.
Dragon SpaceX on the big loop, you are go for hatch opening per the decal, followed by the remaining actions in procedure 4.400, section 6.
Dragon copy. copies. Go for hatch open and remainder of steps in 4.400.
We are go for hatch opening is what you have just heard. If you are just now joining us, you are tuned into live coverage of the arrival of Axiom Mission 4, the International Space Station.
And SpaceX Dragon, hatch is coming open.
SpaceX copies.
Expedition 73 crew anxiously awaiting as we just received the go for hatch opening to welcome Axiom Mission 4 into the International Space Station. There you see Ann McLean in the foreground working on the tablet, alongside with Johnny Kim on the far right-hand side, NASA astronaut, and then Roscosmos cosmonaut Kirill Peskov next to him, with Alexei Zubritsky and Sergei Ryzhikov, also of Roscosmos in that mix. And right there in the middle, almost standing, if you will, from our perspective, is Expedition 73 Commander and JAXA astronaut Takuya Onishi. From this view, they are looking up.
SpaceX Dragon, hatch is open at 12:14, and we're requesting the go for the LIO change.
Copy 1214 Zulu hatch opening time, and you are go for LIO swap.
And there you heard that the hatch is open and confirmed at 7:14 a.m. Central Time, as the hatches are open between SpaceX Dragon Grace spacecraft and the International Space Station. Again, 7:14 a.m. Central, 8:14 a.m. Eastern. And you heard also the swaps of the LIO canisters. That's the lithium hydroxide cartridges that scrubbed carbon dioxide inside of the Dragon spacecraft on the ride to the International Space Station. Also, Nicole Ayers out of view, but if from this perspective, looking up, she is operating with the Axiom Mission 4 team to help refresh the air and cycle air between the two craft as they continue a few more procedures before floating across and into the orbiting laboratory for the first time.
Dragon SpaceX on the big loop for LIO cartridge.
Go ahead for LIO cartridge.
Just looking for clarification on your next action there. We're tracking LIO cartridge sealing per 2.102 step 6.5.
Oh, okay. And in my procedure, I had for the instructions on the decal for section. For section 4 of the instructions on the decal.
And copy that, Peggy. We'll defer to the instructions in 2.102.
Okay, that's where we are.
You just heard communications between Axiom Mission 4 Commander Peggy Whitson and the teams on the ground as they were talking about the swapping of the lithium hydroxide cartridges as the hatch has been opened between the Dragon spacecraft and the International Space Station just a few moments ago at 7:14 a.m. Central Time. And this is a view inside the International Space Station, looking forward, if you will, as the astronauts and cosmonauts aboard are looking up. That is towards the space-facing port of the Harmony module. That's where they are in now. If you were to keep going forward, if you will, that is the forward port, which currently is occupied by Dragon Endurance from Crew 10. And a great microgravity demonstration of the camera that Alexei Zubritsky is using to help document and be a part of the welcoming committee for Axiom Mission 4 here in the next few moments.
Dragon, Houston on the big loop. Just to confirm, we want to make sure IMV duct installation is complete before we do LIO cartridge sealing.
Yes, the IMV duct installation is complete. My bad, I didn't get it reported.
Houston copies.
Now we switch views from pretty much the point of view of what the astronauts have been looking at. From what we have seen, they were looking up, and this is the shot up into that Node 2 Zenith hatchway of the Harmony module. That is Nicole Ayers, NASA astronaut, just on the other side of that APAS hatchway, working with the Axiom Mission 4 crew. You heard them talking about IMV ducting and LIO cartridges. That IMV ducting helps mix the air of the International Space Station environment with the air inside of Dragon. And then also looking to seal up some of those lithium hydroxide cartridges that are used to scrub carbon dioxide from the air in the spacecraft on their journey to the International Space Station. And that journey started yesterday morning, 1:31 a.m. Central Time, 2:31 a.m. Eastern, as they would launch on the SpaceX Dragon, newly named Grace spacecraft, on a Falcon 9 rocket from Launch Pad 39A at NASA's Kennedy Space Center, and would chase down the International Space Station earlier this morning at 5:31, nearly 2 hours ago, 5:31 a.m. Central, 6:31 a.m. Eastern, a little bit more of a day's transit.
Houston and SpaceX Dragon arrival configuration is complete.
Houston copies.
SpaceX copies.
Continuing to target a welcome ceremony or welcome remarks in the near future at 8:35 a.m. Central Time. So a little bit more than an hour from now is Axiom Mission 4 and the International Space Station continuing to work through hatch opening procedures, but getting close, you can start to see a little bit of a window of opportunity that was just on the other side of astronaut Anne McLean and Nicole Ayers there, as they are working on IMV ducting, mixing the air of the station and Dragon, and lithium hydroxide cartridges, stowage and swapping out. So Anne McLean and Nicole Ayers are starting to clear out the hatchway, and we are going to see the first views of Axiom Mission 4. Commander Peggy Whitson, the first one across the A-Pass hatch, receiving great big hugs from Nicole Ayers and the Expedition 73 crew. Axiom Mission 4, welcome aboard the International Space Station. Pilot Shubhanshu Shukla is the next one to come across, representing ISRO. It is his first space flight for Peggy Whitson, her return to the International Space Station on her 5th flight, second as a member of Axiom Space. Sławosz Uznański-Wiśniewski of ESA, representing the nation of Poland. And their first visit to the International Space Station is next to cross the hatchway. And warm hugs all around. And applause breaking out here inside of Mission Control Houston and International Space Station Flight Control Room. And Tibor Kapu, the fourth and final member of Axiom Mission 4, representing Hunor and the nation of Hungary. Their first visit to the International Space Station as well. Great big hugs and handshakes across all members of Expedition 73 and Axiom Mission 4 is Anne McLean and Nicole Ayers of NASA, along with Johnny Kim, Kirill Peskov, Sergei Ryzhikov, and Alexei Zabritsky of Roscosmos, and Takuya Onishi, commander of Expedition 73 and of JAXA, with handshakes and hugs for Peggy Whitson, Shubhanshu Shukla, Sławosz Uznański-Wiśniewski, and Tibor Kapu. And with their arrival to the International Space Station, that now makes 288 visitors to the orbiting laboratory. Axiom Mission 4 is now aboard the International Space Station. Commander Peggy Whitson, in her return to the orbiting laboratory, her 5th flight. 3 is a member of NASA, and her 2nd as commander of Axiom Space Private Astronaut Mission, commander of Axiom 2 and here of Axiom 4. Regaling the crew with smiles and stories. To her left, or our left from her viewpoint to her right, Sławosz Uznański-Wiśniewski of ESA, Shubhanshu Shukla to her left of ISRO, and Tibor Kapu on that far right-hand side of our viewpoint. The crew is safely aboard the International Space Station. Welcome again to Axiom Mission 4. And we are continuing to target a formal welcome remark from the crew and being joined by the Expedition 73 team as well. That'll be at approximately 8:35 a.m. Central Time. And from there, they will receive a safety briefing and begin their approximately 2-week mission aboard the International Space Station, in which they will participate in around 60 research investigations representing 31 countries, with more than 24 of those experiments sponsored by the ISS National Lab. And there they all are, waving back at our coverage here inside of the International Space Station Flight Control Room.
Station Houston on 2. Thanks for the wave. Great to see everybody.
Houston Station, we're happy to be here. It's so great to be here finally. It was a long quarantine.
And with the crew now in the space station, we're going to wrap up our portion of the live joint coverage from Hawthorne.
Okay, this Houston, this is station. I can give you 5 counts. 1.
Talk, we heard you, but just lost the video downlink, so please give us a minute. Talk, oh, there you go. Thanks, Shook and Johnny, for checking the cables there. And Talk, if you could give us one more 5 count. We missed it on the last one because we lost video downlink.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That was a good scene and voice check, and we'll be ready to begin after the handover.
Great communications between the team on the ground and everyone on board the International Space Station, including the newly arrived Axiom Mission 4, as everyone getting staged and set up for the welcome remarks. That'll get underway here in about 4 minutes' time. There will be an anticipated loss of signal, though briefly, and then we will bring everything back on board, and the welcome remarks in which Expedition 73 will welcome their 4 new friends aboard the orbiting laboratory, and we'll turn it over to the team from there. And again, we are experiencing a temporary loss of communications, but the acquisition of signal should be in just a couple of seconds, and once the video is on board, the welcome remarks for Axiom Mission 4 will get underway.
Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Yes, sir. Station, we are ready for the event.
Please begin the welcome ceremony.
All right. Grace crew, welcome aboard the International Space Station. On behalf of Expedition 73 crew, I'd like to make a couple of opening remarks. First of all, Peggy, welcome back.
Thank you.
It's a great honor and privilege to have such a legendary astronaut like you on board with us. And Tibor, Shuks, and Sławosz, congratulations on your first space flight. And we've been waiting for you guys so long, and we are so happy to see your all smiling faces. And with your arrival, right now there are 11 astronauts from 6 countries, and all of us are here in order to advance human space exploration and scientific research, symbolizing international cooperation. So from this moment, you are also a part of Expedition 73. And once again, welcome aboard. And I will pass the microphone to Axiom-4 Commander Peggy Whitson.
Thank you so much, Tak, and for the 73 crew as well. We appreciate being invited in. You guys are exceptional hosts, and hopefully you'll think we're exceptional guests at the end of a couple of weeks. But we're looking forward to getting a lot of work done with you guys, and I really appreciate all the support you've provided to us in advance of actually even getting here. I think that's very unique and special about you. And the best part about being a commander on a mission with all rookies is you get to watch the rookies go through it for the first time. And it helps you remember some of the things you went through the first time. But it also, it's just very special to get to relive the experience again through these guys. And so I'd like to give these guys their astronaut pins. So we'll start with Shubhanshu Shukla, astronaut number 634.
Well,
Yeah, I'll go ahead. I'll go ahead and get these out.
Thank you, Peggy. Oh, so I am number 634. That's a privilege. No, but to be fair, it is a privilege to be amongst the few who have got the chance to see the Earth from a vantage point that I have been able to see now. It has been a wonderful ride. It has been great, and I was looking forward to come to space. It is something to look forward to as such. But the minute I entered the International Space Station and you guys, this crew, you just made me feel so welcome, as if you literally opened your doors, like your house doors for us. That's true. So, but it was fantastic. I feel even better. Whatever expectation I had of coming here, they were surpassed by the view. Of course, that's the big part of it, but by you guys as well. So thank you so much. I think this was fantastic. This is wonderful, and I'm very, very confident that the next 14 days are going to be amazing, doing, as you said, advancing science and research and working together. Thank you so much.
And number 635. Sławosz, Uznański-Wiśniewski. Go for it.
Thank you, Peggy, and thank you all for such a warm welcome to the International Space Station. Expedition 73, 11 people. I remember this moment from our training that we met already once before, all of us, in Houston, and now we are meeting up here on the International Space Station. So this is such a tremendous place. For me, as an engineer and a scientist, this is an ultimate scientific laboratory where we come to do science, to test our technologies of our countries, to do technology demonstrators and science outreach that I can't wait to do for the next 2 weeks. And we will all try to do the best representing our countries. I represent Poland for the first time on the International Space Station, as well as ESA, not for the first time. So ESA had, as an international partner, had a lot of missions to the ISS, but Poland, this is for the first time. So thank you for having us, and we are very honored to be here among you. As you said, 6 nationalities. We bring 3 extra ones, and we can't wait to spend this time together. Thank you.
And last but not least, number 636, Tibor Kapu. Just needed practice. It got easier.
It was an easier guy. All right. So thank you very much, guys, for this really, really warm welcome. I really feel that this is the best crew that we could join to. It really feels great to be part of Expedition 73. As Tak, the commander, said that we have so many countries in the same time in the space station, but we also have 7 out of 11 who are complete new flyers, which also tells me how much space is expanding towards a new era. One of my friends told me 2 days ago when I was asking him what should I tell in space, what should be my speeches about, and he said that if there's ever a time for speaking from the heart, then this is it. And my heart is so full right now because of you guys and because of seeing Earth for the first time. There's a lot to choose from. So I'm extremely happy to be here, happy to represent my country. On our ride up, we actually saw our countries flying above those. It's truly, truly a special feeling. Looking forward for these 2 weeks. I'm 100% sure that this is going to be awesome. Thank you.
और एक छोटा सा संदेश मेरे प्यारे देशवासियों के लिए, आपके प्यार और आशीर्वाद से सुरक्षित मैं इंटरनेशनल स्पेस स्टेशन पे इंटरनेशनल स्पेस स्टेशन पे पहुंच चुका हूं और बहुत आसान दिख रहा है यहाँ खड़े होना, लेकिन थोड़ा सा मुश्किल है, थोड़ा सा सर भारी है, थोड़ी तकलीफ हो रही है, लेकिन ये सब बहुत छोटी चीज़ें हैं और कुछ ही दिनों में हम इसके यूज्ड टू हो जाएंगे। और ये पहला पड़ाव है इस जर्नी का और अभी आगे 14 दिन यहाँ पे रह के हम काफ़ी सारे साइंस एक्सपेरिमेंट्स करेंगे, आप लोगों से बातचीत करेंगे। लेकिन कहीं ना कहीं ये जो पड़ाव है ये भी दिखाता है कि ये हमारी अपनी स्पेस जर्नी का भी एक पड़ाव है। तो मैंने बात की थी आपसे कुछ देर पहले जब मैं ड्रैगन में था और अभी यहाँ से आगे भी बात करता रहूँगा। चलिए इस जर्नी को बहुत एक्साइटिंग बनाते हैं, बहुत उत्साह से इसमें पार्टिसिपेट करते हैं। मैं बहुत उत्साहित हूँ और मैं अपने शोल्डर पे अपना तिरंगा जो मैं लेके चल रहा हूँ, मैं मानता हूँ कि आप सब मेरे साथ हैं, तो मैं ये भी समझ लेता हूँ कि आप सब भी मेरे साथ उत्साहित हैं और मुझे लगता है कि अगले 14 दिन बहुत ही एक्साइटिंग जाने वाले हैं। धन्यवाद। जय हिंद, जय भारत।
Thank you, Jux. Drodzy Polacy, drogie Polki, cieszę się, że mogę tutaj Was powitać z pokładu Międzynarodowej Stacji Kosmicznej. Po raz pierwszy jesteśmy na stacji, po raz pierwszy mamy polską misję na Międzynarodową Stację Kosmiczną i bardzo się cieszę, że mogę reprezentować właśnie Was, 40 milionów Polaków, którzy mają możliwość obejrzenia misji, ale jednocześnie kontrybuowania do części naukowej, technologicznej i wykonywania eksperymentów na Międzynarodowej Stacji Kosmicznej. Będziemy prowadzić również lekcje fizyki dla dzieci w szkół, dla studentów i mam nadzieję, że to jest początek Polski technologicznej, obrazu Polski na świecie właśnie w takich miejscach jak Międzynarodowa Stacja Kosmiczna czy najbardziej zaawansowane laboratoria technologiczne. Bardzo dziękuję Wam za zaufanie. Tak jak już wcześniej mówiłem, kosmos jednoczy, jesteśmy tutaj razem, jesteśmy silni i budujemy naszą przyszłość. Dziękuję bardzo za zaufanie i do zobaczenia przez najbliższe 2 tygodnie. And over to Tibor.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice. There's always a first time for anything, right? Üdvözlök mindenkit a világűrből. Ha jól számolok, akkor 2009 óta először hangzanak el magyar szavak innen, a nemzetközi űrállomás fedezetéről. Charles Simonyi után, aki kétszer is járt itt, én álltak a következő, aki magyarul beszél ezen falak között. Hatalmas megtiszteltetés és elképesztő büszkeség számomra. Alig 30 órája se vagyunk a világűrben, de már volt alkalmam beszélni a szüleimmel egy pár perce, akik elmondták azt, hogy az ő szemükkel mit láttak a Földről, amikor mi elhagytuk azt, és már látjuk, hogy micsoda hatása lesz annak a küldetésnek, és amikor azt mondom, hogy küldetés, ez nem véletlen, nekünk ezzel a pár következő nappal, héttel valóban egy küldetésünk van. Nem csak egy tudományos küldetésről beszélünk, nem csak kísérleteket fogunk elvégezni, egy inspirációs jelleggel is vagyunk itt. Szeretném megmutatni azt, hogy még egy ilyen kis nemzetnek is sikerült egy ekkora hatalmas dolgot végrehajtania. Én vallom azt, hogy kis nemzetek tudnak a legnagyobbat támadni. Szeretném megköszönni mindenkinek azt, hogy lehetővé tette ezt a küldetést, lehetővé tette ezt az elmúlt pár órát és a következő napokat. Még egyszer csak azt tudom mondani, hogy rendkívül hálás és büszke vagyok, hogy magyarként itt lehetek.
Well, thank you again. Thank you again for welcoming us so openly and warmly. We really, really appreciate all of you and all of the team on the ground as well. Thank you.
Okay, Houston Station, that concludes our event.